All right, if it's Monday night, it's Cageside Live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Cageside Live, brought to you by CageSidePress.com. I'm Eddie Law, and a newcomer to the show, you know him as at the 3Ls on Twitter, Mr. Val Dewar. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I like the professionalism of the intro, that whole like Greek Spartan thing you got going on.
Oh, appreciate it. No, it's I mess around with it a little bit, try to make it, have a little more fun with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, I don't know if you watched the other ones. We're super laid back for the most part. So between this and the Keyboard Warriors, I get plenty of practice on stuff like that. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go.
I like just shooting the shit about MMA.
Exactly. We're just hanging out, man.
That's what I'm on Twitter for. I mean,
yeah, that's how we started MMA Twitter, right? We're just hanging out, talking about fights.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it evolves into some shit like this. So you never know what's gonna happen with it, folks. So don't quit.
Yeah.
If you're trying, don't quit. All right. Speaking of shooting the shit about MMA, UFC Vegas 64 this last weekend. Honestly, the biggest fight to talk about the entire card was the main event. Marina Rodriguez taking on Amanda Lemos. I forgot how you say her name, but the fight was quick because it was super fast. But focusing on the stoppage itself, Marina herself thought it was too soon. She said it on Twitter. If you guys go on at Cageside Press on Instagram, we actually put her tweet on there with a picture. And she said it was too soon. Do you think it was a quick stoppage, or was it like on time?
So I don't think it was like super egregious. Like some people are on Twitter like, oh, this is like sexism, like difference between male and female. Like if it was males, they wouldn't stop it that early. I think it could have been like let go a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
But Marina was shelled up, like she wasn't throwing back. So I don't know, it wasn't egregious to me. And I'm very vocal about this. I think Herzog's the best ref in MMA, the best ref we've ever had in MMA. So I mean, he could have let it go maybe 3 or 4 more seconds, but it was pretty bad visual, just her shelling up, and yeah.
It's hard not to stop a fight or to be mad at a stoppage when your arms are down and you're just eating shots. Like, I'm still here, yeah, but you're eating all the shots too. Like you're not, you weren't really there. So I get her being upset because she clearly lost the title shot in this fight. I mean, to me, it's almost shades of Jojo Calderwood was this close to a title shot. I forgot what fight she took and she lost, right?
She took the Maya fight and then Maya got the title shot.
Mm-hmm. So there you go. So now, presumably, we're looking at either Amanda Lemos or we're looking at Alexa Grasso, right, for a title shot here. Which is funny because we're just
Grasso's at 125 now. This is 115.
Why am I thinking about Grasso?
Because we were talking about JoJo, maybe, I don't know, but Jan or Rose, it's a whole triangle there. No one knows what's going on with Rose. Haven't heard from her.
Yeah. No, have you seen her? I haven't seen it yet. Have you seen her little biography?
No, came out? No, I didn't know. I knew it was coming out soon. I didn't know when exactly. It's out now already.
It's out. It's out on UFC Fight Pass, so I'd have to get that again. But there is a little bit of Cageside Press in that, if I'm not mistaken. So you guys want a little tidbit there, go check it out. You'll see our very own Gabriel Gonzalez on there talking to Rose. So you guys check that shit out as soon as you can. And if you do see it, take a little screenshot for me and send it. That way I can know if I should log on there for once and just watch it.
Yeah, I have Fight Pass. I can pull that for you.
There you go. All right, co-main event, which actually ended up being not surprising because I just don't understand why these guys they challenge Neil Magny like he's a pushover. Like that guy's far from a pushover, and he takes the W here. And what did you think of the performance there? And what do you think is next from Neil Magny?
I thought it played out exactly like everyone expected. Like D-Rod winning striking, though it was competitive. Like Neil isn't a bad striker at all, and then Neil like winning when he could get the clinch or get the takedowns. The third, it was interesting because the third round, D-Rod had him. He was on top of him, and he got up. He could have ground out the third round on top of him, probably won the fight, but no. And then, so the only real surprise was, like I said, he got up and that Neil got the submission. Then since 2016, I was writing my matchmaking article earlier, and I was like, Neil Magny's last finish, that TKO of Craig White, 2016. So in that article, I wrote Luque. Luque has to fight down, Neil has to fight up. Pretty simple. So it would be a good matchup, I think.
I'm totally I'm on board with you on that one for sure. And anytime anyone challenges Neil Magny, I'm like, why would you even do that? That dude's he's just looking to spoil your day. And
it's a low reward fight for almost everyone.
For everybody.
But it's a fight you probably need to have to get everyone who's getting through to the top has to fight. If not Neil Magny, someone like Neil Magny.
100%. He's almost like a gatekeeper-ish kind of guy, even though he's on the come up as well. And if you guys want to see everything else that that Val wrote up for the Vegas winners, CagesidePress.com right now. It's on the front page. He talks Amanda Lemos. He talks Neil Magny, everybody. So all the winners on there. Check it out. It is up at CagesidePress.com right now. All right. So let me see what other fights on this card there were. First of all, everyone that was talking shit about this card, like, oh, it's weak and all this stuff, just because the names weren't on there, you're out of your mind. Okay, it was a bunch of finishes on here. The last fight I want to talk about, unless there's another one you want to touch on. Oh, two fights actually, but
yeah, two fights.
Grant Dawson.
Yeah, dude's getting there. I mean, if not for that draw with Ricky Glenn, he'd be in the rankings by now.
Oh yeah.
So the next fight is like either he called for Tony. I don't know. It depends what they want to do with Tony. I don't like anyone doing anything with Tony really right now. But Dober's right there. That'd be a good fight, or someone like just right outside the rankings. I put Carlos Diego Ferreira in my article, but could be like anyone around there. Gillespie, if Gillespie wants to fight. A lot of good guys for him to fight.
The Tony call out bugged me a little bit. Like I was like, come on, dude.
Whenever someone calls out Tony, I know Twitter is gonna get mad at them, and I understand why. Like I'm not. Just playing the game, huh?
That's what you got to do, man. You got to call out, and you want names on your resume and everything. But someone pointed out that most of Grant Dawson's UFC opponents have been like 30, like mid 30s and older. So it's like
really, I didn't notice that.
That's what I saw on Twitter. So I haven't verified it, so don't take my word for it. But it's like Tony's like 38, and he's got like the miles of a 45-year-old on him. Like it's just it's a tough call out to swallow on that one. I don't think it'll happen ever, but. Either way, and Grant decided to miss weight on this one.
That was rough. Well,
that was hard.
Speaking of James Krause fighters and tough to swallow.
I'm telling you, dude. It's and we're about to talk about that right now here in a second. But before we finish that, Mark O. Madsen, spent a lot of media day talking about Jakar Close, and he's like, I beat him up in the hospital. Yeah, he said. So they said that with Jakar, tore his MCL, he tore something in his knee. So I guess Jakar told him he was going to be at the Mayo Clinic. He said, come see me at the Mayo Clinic. Madsen allegedly showed up there. No one knew who he was. Jakar was there. No one knew who Jakar was, whatever. And then Madsen says, I'll fight him anywhere. And I think John Morgan's the one to ask him, like, you'll fight that man in the hospital? He goes, I'll fight him in the hospital. He went as far as to give a game plan. He goes, I'll kick the crutches out. I'll do this. I'll do that. And I'm just like,
oh my God.
Bro, there's a young cat named Grant Dawson in front of you. I know you're undefeated and all, but he wants your O. And then he took that shit. So
it was an interesting fight. I mean, you could see Madsen's a Greco-Roman guy. You can see how Greco-Roman, like you can be good with Greco-Roman. And in the early days, a lot of people were, but these days it's a lot harder when you got guys diving for your legs. Not much of that leg stuff in Greco-Roman. So
not much at all. And it was quite apparent when Madsen was on his back. Like, I'm sitting there like Not screaming, but I wanted to yell. I was like, dude, put your heel on his hips and kick like a mule, dude. What the fuck are you waiting for?
Yeah.
And it was bugging me. So when he lost, I was like, you deserve it, dude. All right, learn to use your legs. What the hell?
He just didn't have the jiu-jitsu. He didn't have, I mean, you see it with like people. I mean, I don't know. This isn't a great comparison because Usman was like mounted, so it's tough. But like you see it with wrestlers who are so dominant on top. Sometimes they end up on their back and they don't know how to. Like, they're not used to being on bottom. They don't know how to spin and swivel, get on the single leg, come up on it. Because a lot of a lot of wrestling styles don't involve being on bottom. Once the takedown happens, a lot of wrestling styles are like, that's it. But then folk wrestling is where you learn some of that stuff.
Folk wrestling, catch wrestling, stuff like that will have bottom attacks and everything. But I love that I can tell who's a wrestler at open mat and jiu-jitsu. I train jiu-jitsu, so when I go to open mat, you get the new wrestlers coming in. Because if they take you down and they're on top, cool. They got all the pressure. They don't really know subs yet. But if you take them down or you're able to sweep, they're like lost, and you get to mount so fast. So I'm just Afterwards, I always tell them like, yeah, just start using your legs a little bit. What the hell? So, so then the other fight to talk about on here, Derek Minner, first of all, comes in and looks weird, moves weird, and I think the first thing I said when the fight started, I was like, yeah, he looks like he's hurt, but I don't know, maybe he's just maybe he's sore or whatever. He throws a leg kick, brings the leg back down. He's clearly in pain. Then he throws it again for some reason. Yeah. And then he drops, fights over in about a minute. It was like a minute 7, minute 8, whatever it was. So that happens. Everyone's like, what the hell? Here's the problem about, and correct me if I'm wrong, because like I said, I look at the bullet points, but I know you actually like understood it way better than I did.
So why don't I just take over?
Go ahead, do it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So in the hours before the fight, fight had been up on his sportsbooks for 3-4 weeks. Line movement, not that much. People bet on. For people who don't understand, the money that comes in on one side or the other from people placing bets moves the line. So if a lot of people bet on Shalian Nurdenbeke to win the fight, then his line will get wider. So it went from minus 200, which is like 67% implied probability, to about minus 400, which is like 80% implied probability, which is a lot of money. Like in the first hours when a line is up, $100 will move it. But afterward, once it's been up for weeks, you have hundreds of thousands of dollars around the world on these fights. It takes a lot of money to move these lines. So someone or a bunch of someone put a lot of money on Shalian Nurdenbeke to win, and he won for clear reasons. And it was clear afterwards that it wasn't just like Derek Minner got injured in the moment. He hurt himself in the moment from a pre-existing injury. It was pretty clear. So now, this happens with like NFL, Pete Rose and the MLB. These betting investigative companies come in and they do their little detective work, like insurance investigators, except for with betting, and they figure out what happened, who placed these bets, why did they place these bets, who did they tell about these bets, and why did all this money come in? That was clearly inside information. There's no other way you can look at it. Like it might. So the thing is, James Krause, for those who don't know, although it's a pretty open secret at this point, runs a Discord, like a tout Discord. A tout in quotes is someone who has people pay for their picks. That's a betting tout. So he has a Discord, which is pretty popular means that Discord and Telegram are how people do that a lot of the time these days. That people pay to be in and get these picks. And people pay a lot for this from the best bettors or people who pretend to be the best bettors. I don't know anything about James Krause's record, but there's a lot of scammers out there. Anyway, so yeah, James Krause, he allegedly had like $1 million on David Onama, one of his own fighters, to win at UFC Austin. Was that? And so not long after that, we see the UFC send out this memo to all the fighters, which is basically just telling them what the rules like already are, because that's like the legal rules. You're not supposed to bet on a sport or on a company you're involved in. NFL players can't bet NFL games. Like Calvin Ridley got suspended. Yep, even though he was not playing and he bet on his own team, he couldn't have affected it. He still got suspended. They have no tolerance for it. UFC, just a niche though. Like it is different because people don't. We kind of have our own section of the sports world to ourselves at times, unless there's a big pay-per-view. So people don't pay attention. But the UFC was, it probably had to be because of James Krause, who's getting a lot of attention. it'd been like a secret in the betting community for a while, but then he went on the MMA Hour and was telling Ariel about how he makes all of his money from real estate and betting.
Oh,
and
Jesus.
people paying him for betting picks. Talked about the Discord,
oh, God.
a couple hundred members, people betting a lot of money. So that's when it became more of an open secret. And then, stuff started happening. The Onama thing and just kind of snowballed. The UFC sent this memo out. Fighters, no betting on UFC fights. And it said, coaches, teammates, trainers, doctors who are affiliated with you, whatever. If you're closely related to a fighter, it depends on the state you live in. So look up the laws in your state is basically what the memo said, as far as I remember. Haven't brushed up on it. That's how I remember it. And because each state has different betting laws. But the thing is, you can only place bets in certain states. So a lot of states in America, betting is still illegal. Or even if it is legalized, it might not have the infrastructure yet. You can't place bets online in my state yet, even though we have it legalized, because they're still setting up FanDuel and DraftKings infrastructure and all that. Anyways, so the laws are different everywhere. You place bets from like New York, but you might be placing them on a Vegas sports book, so it gets really complicated. And again, that's where this, betting investigating firm comes in. I don't know where. So if it's James Krause, don't know where he placed these bets. It could be Vegas, where he was coaching. Could be Missouri, where he's from. Could be an offshore book, which is where people from states where it's not legal, or even people from states where it is legal, because then you can, deposit taxed or tracked by the government or anything. You can do all this with your money. So it gets really into the weeds with all that, and I don't know how this company is going to handle that. If it is James Krause who moved these lines. If it's not, then they're still going to find them, because they're going to be able to track where this line movement came from. Like I guarantee they're going to be able to track it. There's no way they're not going to be able to track where this line movement came from. These sports books have a lot of clout and a lot of power behind them, because they're protecting their investments, which is not just this fight. If someone's like fixing a fight or is close to fixing a fight, it could affect much larger things than just this one UFC fight that's good fighters but unranked fighters, So it gets really into the weeds, really complicated. Someone's going to get in trouble. Don't know who, but someone's going to get in trouble.
It would be interesting to see James Krause get in trouble for it. I don't want him to. Like I'm hoping. It's like hope against hope, right? That like James Krause isn't involved, but it's such a fat chance that he's not involved in some way, because of all the stuff you said.
It looks bad. It looks really, really bad.
When he went on MMA Hour, was like, and he told everybody about his Discord and all that. I was like, man, look at Shop Jr. over here telling everyone about streams and where to get him, motherfucker. Like, what the hell, dude? You screwing your own game up, because he knew when he put it out there, it was gonna get, the one guy ruins it for everybody, and there it goes.
At the time, I didn't think the Shop Jr. thing, that's a little harsh, but no, I get you for sure. And I was thinking, it's not gonna affect me, but it'll affect like Jeff Molina. I talked to him on Twitter about betting a couple times, and I know a lot of fighters like to bet on these fights, and because they know more than us. Not us. They know more than the average person, let's say. So they can make a good bit of money, and they were like, Jeff Molina would post some of his bet slips sometimes, and he was, maybe he was losing a bunch in the ones he didn't post, but he's going to be making a good bit of money and enjoying himself. So
Look, I don't hate on no one's game, and if James Krause is making a living off of betting, fair enough. But man, you can't. That's just tough. You can't do that.
I knew it was. I knew just because I like Jeff a lot, and I've talked to him. He's a really nice guy. I was like, man, I hope this doesn't affect anything, but I knew it was gonna affect something when it got talked about.
Yeah. And then depending on what happens here, it might even get worse. How many fighters are you'll see on Instagram, like you see like fighters left and right going like, here's my bets, and I bet with, or my bets with so make sure you bet with them, use my code and all that. Like those are sponsorships. I'm wondering, because of this, are those going to be in danger now? Because it was already looking kind of shaky.
So I don't know anything about the sponsorships. I don't think so, and I don't think making the picks is like, it could be, because like John Anik will say this, like John Anik does his show with Ken Flo, and they have a betting segment, and Anik always says he can't make the picks. He can't make picks because he's an official like UFC employee on the broadcast and stuff. So yeah, like UFC fighters should be able to give their sponsorships, but they might not be able to give those picks. I really don't know what the rules are, laws are when it comes down to that stuff. It's just it's technically advising people on what to bet, technically, but not getting, and you're not getting paid directly by those people for your pick stuff, so it's different still.
I wonder how that affects that. What's his name? The guy with the shiny teeth.
Johnny?
Yanni, the guy with the shiny teeth, no
Johnny Weir.
lips. I wonder how it affects him.
Probably not. I mean, he's just a UFC tout. Like he's like a corporate gambler, pretty much. That's how I think of him.
I know nothing about the guy. Just one day he just popped up during a freaking event, and I'm just like, well, who the fuck is this guy? And apparently everyone knew him because I didn't. So
yeah, he comes on every Contender Series broadcast and gives his picks, and people love to hate him, and I don't blame him.
The only thing
just being honest.
Yeah, look, man. The only thing that bothers me about like fighting about Contender Series is Yanni popping on there, and what bothers me about pay-per-views is that we pay per view and we still get ads. I don't fucking get it.
Yeah, so there's a lot that could be fixed with pay-per-view. Like, maybe this wasn't the first who had the idea, but Jack Slack said for a while, when you buy pay-per-view, you should be able to like choose what fighter gets your pay-per-view point. Like $1 even from your pay-per-view goes to X fighter on the pay-per-view would be a good way to support them. But yeah.
Are they still doing? Are they still doing that whole like
crypto?
That shit? Are you still doing that?
No. So that's the crazy thing. They roll. Crypto's like down the drain. Like just in general.
Big dude. Hey, I have friends that were literally trying to sell me on Bitcoin forever. Like, dude, we get Bitcoin. It's gonna be huge. And they got like, I have one friend that had a legit coin. So it's like at the time it was like 30-some $30,000 or something like that. Yeah, at that point it was like 30-some, right? And they kept going higher. He said, dude, you gotta get in on this, man. You gotta get in on this. And then recently just tanked. So where is it now? Like, how bad is it now?
So it's like last I checked, it was 20 something. Let's see, Bitcoin $20,627.60. So it's dropped by it's dropped by what's that, like 66%, something like that. So that's quite a bit. But the thing is, with that, Crypto.com, the sponsor, lost a lot of money. Aaron Bronstetter wrote an article saying the crypto UFC bonuses are done, and no one said anything because they didn't. It's bad look. It's a really bad look to say, hey, we'll pay these fighters tens of thousands of dollars for the next year, and then just stop halfway through. It's a bad look.
Yeah, because I remember that as soon as you said that whole like, oh, say you have to say we put your money in. I'm like, oh yeah, what happened to that crypto thing? And then I mean, don't they have the rights to the formerly Staples Center where the Lakers play? Am I right on that?
Yeah, they still have that. But they couldn't. I guess they couldn't afford the fighter sponsorships anymore. They didn't want to. I don't know. Somehow they got out of that contract, or the UFC let them out of it. I don't know.
It must have been
I read Aaron Bronstetter's article like a month ago. It was really like, geez, like I didn't even think about this, but yeah, it stopped. It wasn't there last pay-per-view, and last two pay-per-views now, I think it wasn't there, and it won't be there this coming Saturday.
All right. Now, shout out to Aaron, one of the nicest guys I've met in the media room, and a lot shorter than I thought he was going to be when I met him. So,
really?
Hey, no offense, Aaron. I thought for sure you were taller than me for some reason, and then when I met him, he's like down here. I'm like, bro, I'm 5'11". What the fuck is going on? Or 5'10".
I thought he would be like average. He looks like a tall guy. But he also has like integrity. I think as a journalist, he's one of the like better ones. Like not like not just a mouthpiece for ESPN.
Right. No, he legit does his job. Like, and he very much comes into the media room and does his job. Like, he's not like, he'll say what's up to people and all that, but he's not there for to hang out and and everything like that. He's there to like do the shit. So shout out to Aaron. I'm a fan of that guy. All right, let's talk UFC 281 this weekend, dude. MSG. It's a big one. It's a big one, and it's what, 2 title fights and a massive fight at lightweight. Just very quickly, if you want to talk about any of these prelims, let me know. I'm just gonna scroll through them real fast. Carlos Ulberg, one of the guys I actually enjoy watching fight. I wish he was in the ESPN. It's like ESPN News on top of that. It's not even ESPN, but the ESPN News prelims. I wish he was on there. Carlos is like box office. He's fun to watch.
You know who else is fun to watch? A couple fights here, like Matt for Steamroller Favola and Steamroller. That's a banger. But really, the really under the radar one, Julio Arce and Montel Jackson at bantamweight. Julio Arce has been underappreciated. Beat Dan Ige in his UFC debut, and like beat him up pretty bad. Knocked out Juliana Rosa, who's on the verge of a ranking right now, fighting a ranked opponent in his next fight. And then Montel Jackson, he's just a big long guy. Gets finishes, gets submissions. Still needs to put some consistency together. Reminds me of Jalen Turner at lightweight a bit. Even their loss, he lost to Brett Johns. Jalen Turner lost to Steamroller himself, Matt Frivola, just by virtue of like wrestling and grinding him out. But yeah, that's a great fight. I mean, most bantamweight fights are great fights, but that's a great fight. And surprisingly to me, a little hint for anyone who's like following me on Twitter is that I think Julio Arce is a great live underdog as a bettor. He's plus 170 and he's a great striker, Tiger Schulman guy.
I don't understand why Arce doesn't get more props, but I don't mind him flying under the radar either. He's gonna pop out of nowhere, and people are gonna be like, "Yo."
He's gotten booked really harshly. I mean, so I was gonna do maybe just a little shop talk. But I was gonna do an article ranking the best fights from best to worst on this card. I was gonna put it like before I was writing for you guys. I was writing just for my friend's Substack, just analysis stuff. If you want it, I could put I like give it to you on the site for just normal nothing. But yeah. So I'm gonna do that, and that's gonna be like I already wrote the list down. I think that's gonna be like 4th.
Oh, there you go. Let's see other fights on the prelims. KK back at it. Dude, Carolina headline MSG one time, and now she's in the early prelims.
It's crazy, but she had a rough run. She won her last fight. She turned back the clock a little, but Silvana bangs like a woman who can hit like. I don't want to say rare because they exist, of course, but like a woman who can hit will like light up a crowd, like Poliana Viana did last week.
Yeah.
The other day.
And Silvana's easy on the eyes, man. It helps.
Yeah.
Same.
And then a couple other bangers.
Yeah, real quick. Our boy Milo. What's up, dude? Tajik Bay on Twitter. Part of the Cageside crew. Let's see. What do you think of Andre Petroski? Because I thought, and I know Max just got cut, but I thought Petroski kind of got lucky when he beat Maximov. What did you think of that fight?
It was a weird one. So Maximov posted that he didn't actually. He said like the truth will come out soon or something, and like don't believe everything you read online. So something people aren't aware of, like most people aren't aware of, is that roster watch isn't like the actual roster.
Right.
It's just the fan rankings. So like usually what they have is correct, but like sometimes it's something like suspension. Bobby Green's off the fan rankings because he's suspended.
Right.
So who knows what it is with Maximov? It could be anything. I thought I was like, damn, Nate Diaz left and they cut his boy that fast, but sounds like that's not what's going on. But I mean,
he lost off of an injury like last fight. Like I don't understand that. But Petroski getting that W was huge.
Yeah, I was because Maximov. He was a co-main event the fight before that. I mean, it was kind of weird. It was clearly like the Nate Diaz privilege thing, but he's still like two grindy wrestlers. I thought it was a pretty even fight, but he was like I didn't expect that early finish. So maybe sometimes when you see an early finish, it's like you don't see what the full fight is gonna play out as. But still got to give credit to Petroski.
100%.
He after he lost to Brian Battle, or was it Tresean Gore on Ultimate Fighter?
Yeah.
I think it was Brian Battle. After he lost on the Ultimate Fighter, I was like, so he was like the favorite going into that season. I was like, this guy like coming down to earth a little bit, but he's won all 3 of his UFC fights by finish. So maybe there's something here. We'll see. I don't know. Yeah. I don't have a good read on him yet.
Yeah, he's got to have a few more fights in the UFC before we figure that out.
Yeah.
This fight was announced forever ago.
Yeah.
And it was when Molly and Patty were just like, I mean, they go everywhere together, right?
Yeah.
By the way,
for here. Although Patty will be there, just not fighting.
Oh, for sure. But I am so awful at understanding that Scouse or whatever you call it, accent. Like they came in. I was at UFC 274. I'm in the media room. They both came in together, right? Because they were guest fighters. They weren't even fighting that night. And they start talking to us, and I'm sitting there like, I'm recording this, but I have no idea what they're saying. What the fuck? So that was fun. But
I've watched soccer, so like British football, so I've understood for that's in practice. It's like 2010.
Yeah, there you go. A lot of practice shit. But Molly's fighting that night against Erin Blanchfield. Molly number 15. I think Erin's like, I know she's ranked. It's like 12 or something.
12 or 13, something like that.
15. There you go. What do you? This fight aside, does Molly McCann have what it takes to get up there for a title shot? Because it seems like she kind of gets favorable matchups, and a lot of people get surprised that she wins. I don't understand it.
Yeah, so I wasn't surprised like she won her last 2, but she was getting favorable matchups, and it was understandable the London cards and all that, but this isn't the favorable matchup, so I don't like giving her a really strong wrestler, someone who dominantly out wrestled Miranda Maverick. I don't understand what they're doing here. Like Molly could, like, if you gave her like a Pereira type treatment, I don't think she would, but there's a chance she could get up there. towards the top. But just the wrestling is a gaping hole. But it's not the strongest division, so anything can happen. But this is definitely this is the worst matchup for her until you get to the champion. So it's really bizarre matchmaking from them.
It is very weird.
Maybe they're trying to build Blanchfield off of it, but I feel like if Blanchfield goes out there and wrestles her, which is that's what the odds are, is that what's going to happen? She's minus 425, and that's what her game is, wrestling. She's not going to gain fans from that. I mean, people who like Molly are just going to be like, boo.
Well, Molly has finishes, so we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
She's electric. I like her. I enjoy Molly. She seems nice. She's doing her thing. I respect it.
She kept trying to get me to take a shot of Howlerhead at the Fighter Hotel, and I'm like, no. She's like, I thought you live here, and I'm like, I know I live here. I'm still a 20-minute drive from here. I'm not trying to, y'all fucked up going home.
That's that Scouts party life, I guess.
Dude, they live it. That's for real. That bottle she was walking around at 274 with was half empty, and then suddenly she came around with a new one, and I'm like, who's handing you bottles? Stop. Anyway,
Dana White privilege.
Right? So a massive fight at light heavyweight, in my opinion. Dominic Reyes, Ryan Spann just recently said that he finally got it together. He finally doing the right things, and he's gonna make a run and all that. Dominic Reyes, one of a handful of guys that got this close with John Jones and wasn't able to pull it off. What's your read on this fight? Who would you lean towards? Because this is a hard fight to pick for me.
So I think also Reyes is, I don't know if he said anything. I think if I was my kind of thing, just met around brothers in a gym, head coach or anything, just training, having fun, what he's doing for a long time. And Prohaska, and now he's got a real coach in the gym and all that. I look forward to seeing there's the whole memes about how he was telling John that he's an athlete. He isn't. He's a really good athlete. So if he has it all together, I would definitely favor him in this. But it's been a while. It's been almost 2 years, so I don't know what he looked like. But I think I'm favoring Reyes.
Yeah, there you go. No, and that'd be. I would love to see him go up for a title shot again because he was fun to watch and he got so close. But we saw every guy that we've seen get close to beating John just tanks. Anthony Smith, Dominic Reyes. Who else? Who went just bad? Thiago Santos. Thiago's so bad he went all the way to PFL. Which, by the way, Thiago, go get that million, dude. That's what I would have done.
Yeah, that's why I've always said that. If I was a fringe, top 10, fringe, top 15 fighter in the UFC, I'd go PFL, get the million. Shane Burgos doing it right. Thiago Santos doing it right. Olivier Albon Mercier doing it right.
Yeah. And by the way, if y'all don't watch PFL, start. There's some good ass fights on there. I don't understand why people shit on any other. Everyone, because people are like, "Oh, the UFC's the biggest game." Right, but PFL has some good ass fights. Bellator,
if you want,
the main and co-main will give you something, but PFL for especially that tournament style is a lot of fun to watch.
And one's doing it.
One.
I love one because they're getting kickboxing and Muay Thai out to an audience that would normally never see it.
Right.
And getting these kickboxers and Thai boxers paid. Rod Tang would never have been paid like this fighting in Lumpini and stuff.
No way.
Yeah.
UFC wants to, lowball everybody coming in.
So and if you like the UFC, you should like these other promotions too, because the better competition will force the UFC to be better. I mean, that's the idea with how competition works.
100%, and then we can stop complaining about watered down cards at that point.
Yeah.
So feature prelim, Brad Riddell. And Hanato were kind of one of my favorite guys to watch because Hanato's a tough guy. I mean, it was hard to watch against was it RDA? RDA? That was hard to watch because I was just like, man, this kid's losing years off his life right now. But man, that dude's a savage. And Brad Riddell, savage in his own right.
I mean, really in a technical aspect, he was what was he, third, fourth in the world when he fought Aldo? He was way up there, and beat Cater, it was early UFC Cater, but still beat him up. Was beating up Ortega until the submission. Hanato is the real deal. He's not maybe as athletically talented as a guy like Fiziev or Ortega, but he's really technical, great jiu-jitsu, quick hands, good pocket boxer. So this line is this one and Silvana versus Carolina are the closest on the fight odds on the whole card. And they could both go either way. And this is like, I mean, outside of the main event or the main card, outside of really the first fight and the third fight on the main card, Dustin fight and Izzy fight this is like the best fight on the card for me, like by far.
I'm with you on that. Speaking of those fights, real quick, main card, Dan Hooker, Claudio Puelles. Again, people sleeping on this fight too. Claudio's a bad dude, and we know Dan Hooker brings it. So, back at, I believe, back at lightweight for Dan Hooker, who said he was going to go back down. Did he say he was going to go back down at featherweight? He's going to go back up.
He said he was done with featherweight after that. Like, that was just, one of those desperate fighter things, I guess, that fails, Try to move up, try to move down. It doesn't work. You go back to the original. Like, he's a lightweight. I mean, he's a lightweight. Like, he should be a lightweight. But yeah, if he's on form, I think this is a really good fight for him because he's been a decent anti-grappler in his career. Mm-hmm. Hasn't been submitted. And Claudio's best chances to get that knee, get that leg lock. But Dan has long legs. I don't know. Following Claudio to the ground after hurting him could lead to some bad things.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that.
It's just a weird one. Obviously Dan's had a rough go of it, so.
We'll and I root for Dan Hooker.
Yeah, I think everyone does. I mean, he had two of the fights of the year in a row against Felder and Poirier. And then the Poirier one, everyone saw, the clip, the brutal clip afterwards of him sitting there and then getting into the ambulance, and everyone. I mean, the fight alone earned his respect earned everyone's respect for him. Jeez, I can't speak.
You're good. You're good.
And then and those clips, just seeing what fighters go through. I mean, it's a good thing for fans to see, even though it's brutal.
Yeah, they need to see it so they can start complaining all the time about this and that. Like, come on, dude, these guys are putting their lives on the line for real.
Yeah.
Though. This one's gonna be one of those where I'm like, oh, please, Frankie, just pull it off, man. Retirement fight for former lightweight champion Frankie Edgar, man. But Chris Gutierrez is not a pushover. I don't know why.
Chris is great.
Chris is good, dude. So it's gonna be a rough fight or a tough fight.
Chris is one of those guys that proves bantamweight is insane, because this guy, he's not even one of the main guys people would talk about when they talk about unranked guys. They talk about Saeed Nurmagomedov, and I mean, Yanez is ranked now, and Umar is ranked now, but Chris is right there, and he's a killer. He's a total killer. I don't want Frankie to get hurt too bad or anything. I'm not even saying win. I don't. If he wins, that'd be great. But I'm just don't get brutally KO'd. That's my main thing. And
I don't want to see that. Jesus.
One more crazy thing is look at their heights. Look at their heights right here. 5'5", 5'8". Frankie's moved down 2 divisions. Moved down 2 divisions, and he's still the smaller guy. It just shows you how insane his prime was and why he's one of the all-time greats. He's a small bantamweight now. He was a small featherweight. He was a tiny lightweight. He could be a flyweight. He could be a flyweight, and he won the belt at 155.
That's so nuts, dude. I remember when he won it, I was just like, man, that guy's little, and he's still just wrestling the shit out of these motherfuckers. It was great.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Great
massive fight at 155 pounds, and we're talking both of these guys could be champions. I mean, I think Poirier was interim champ, right, at one point.
Yeah.
Michael Chandler tried to become champ. That it's whole nuts. Winner of this could be up, on the short list for 55. I don't even know what to say. I don't know if this is my fight of the night. There's no way it won't be fight of the night, in my opinion.
The most anticipated fight of the year after 280. The rest of the year, Jerry Glover is great, but come on, everyone this fight. Crazy. And it completes the what is it? It's a pentagon now of Dustin, Chandler, Gaethje, Eddie, and now Charles even is in with those guys. So after this, the only ones who haven't fought will be Eddie and Charles.
Right.
All the rest have fought, Dustin, Gaethje, Chandler, Gaethje, Chandler, Charles, the whole thing is just the circle of violence, the circle of lightweight of violence. Some of the greatest action fighters of all time. And, Dustin Poirier, for me, he's my current favorite fighter. He might be, it's hard to say while they're still active, but when he's done and I look back, he might be my all-time favorite fighter.
There you go, man. I got to cover him when it was World Series of Fighting back in the Palomino fights. And he retained his belt, I think, both times against Palomino. And he sat on the edge of the cage, like where the door opens, and he just did like a impromptu scrum with all of us. It was fucking awesome. But I had no idea he was gonna get to the UFC and do what he's done. So that's pretty cool.
And then Chandler, I mean,
yeah,
but the question everyone has is the cardio.
Yeah, because after the first round, I mean, the first round or two, you know, Chandler's gonna give you the big. By the third round, there's so much muscle on that guy, and he throws so heavy that he's so tired.
The thing is, though, Dustin's like takedown defense isn't like it's not as some people say it's really bad. It's not like horrible, but it's not as good as Gaethje's. Like he wasn't like a college. Dustin was like a high school wrestler, I think, but before he dropped out, but not a college wrestler.
Right.
And like so Chandler in Bellator, he would consistently go in the third round. Like he had a better gas tank then, but he would still go take people down. Like in Eddie fights, you can see it in both of his Eddie fights.
Right.
Take them down, holds them against the cage for a round, gets a second win, comes back for more violence in the fourth round. So this is a 3-round fight. That's a big advantage for Chandler if if he wins the first round, loses the second, goes to the third and wrestles. That's something that I could easily see happening.
Yeah.
But also his ego as like he's heralded now as one of the most violent guys. Like for a lot of people haven't seen his Bellator career. Not that his Bellator career wasn't exciting, but he did a lot more wrestling in it, you know. So we'll see. You'll see. It's just with elite fighters, there's so many ways it can go.
Every time someone says Bellator and Michael Chandler, same sentence, all I can remember is him fucking up his ankle and then someone pulling the stool out from under him.
Yeah.
And he just ate it. I was just like, oh, I remember when that happened. I said, just like, that's embarrassing. Damn it. Come on, they don't do that. You're professionals. But
that was against Brent Primus, who was the first fighter I ever interviewed before I was with you guys, like a year ago, just doing my shitty little betting podcast with my friend. Yeah. My friend reached out to him on like Facebook and we interviewed him. He was a really cool guy. Shout out to Brent Primus.
He's great, dude. I got to do a scrum with him at the last Bellator that was here in Phoenix. It was the one before that. And when he made weight, he's like, he like fucking went just Hulk. And I was just like, I was just looking at him just like, holy shit, that dude's ready. And it's great guy though.
Yeah, he has a crazy life story too. I mean, a lot of fighters do.
He does. Make sure I'll look that up because it's nuts. Co-main event. I feel like a lot of people have this as a given. It's kind of hard to get to bet against Zhang Weili.
Yeah, but, I mean, looking at everything, there are some paths like Weili isn't like untakedownable, obviously, but in like the Rose rematch where she got taken down, it was like set up by the striking. Like she didn't expect it. With Carla, that's all she's gonna expect. So Carla's setups have to be on point.
And we've seen her kind of like have like not mental fog, but she almost has like a brain fart sometimes and makes a mistake and it's finished. So it's it's gonna be on her.
While. It's been a while. You know, she's gotten through some split decisions, a lot of split decisions, but she hasn't been finished in a while. But you know, when she was like against Tatiana Suarez, and I think Weili, much different fighter than Tatiana Suarez, but like on the same level of like overall skill set, like pound for pound or whatever. So. And she just looks like a beast. Like, did you want to fight? Oh man, I was like, oh, this will be another 50-50 fight. She just
Joanna was never the same. JJ was never the same after that fight ever.
And now like that, she retired off the second fight, and all power to her.
Honestly, I think win or lose, Carla. I just have a feeling that Carla retires after this one. I just personally
really.
I think so. I mean, she's been there for a while. She's got a lot of miles on her body. She's got married.
35 in the strawweight. Yeah, I mean, we don't think of it as much with the women's divisions, but like lighter weight fighters always retire earlier, and all women's division fighters are lighter weight fighters. Like, there's no women heavyweights. Gabby Garcia in UFC.
Exactly.
Yeah, and did you watch Embedded today?
I have not, dude. I actually catch up on that after I put my kids to bed because that's the only time I get to myself.
Well, slight spoiler alert. She just talks about like saying how much like actually defending the belt successfully means to her. You know, cause she didn't the first time. She wants to now. So if she does, like, she talked about that like career goals type thing. Like when you look back on it. So if she, I can definitely see. I didn't think about that till you said it, but it makes a lot of sense now that I'm hearing it.
To me, it just feels that way. I remember, shout out Dylan Rush. one of my boys, he asked her at 274 about if she was gonna wear the belt down the aisle, and she was like big old smile, and then she did that shit. So there you go. All right, the fight we're all waiting for, and the way I put it was will UFC middleweight Israel Adesanya exercise the demons of his past by finishing or just beating Alex Pereira? But to me, it can't just be a decision win. I think for everything to go the way Izzy, the way Izzy would want, obviously, but the way like storybook ending, Izzy needs to put him down. But Alex Pereira is no punk. Like, we've seen him go in, and not to mention mentally, he's already got an edge on him. What do you think?
Yeah. I like the way you're putting exercising his demons, because we were talking about this earlier. Alex Mahuna's humanizing athletes thing. He said his favorite drink is lemon juice, not lemonade, but lemon juice. And his favorite TV show was The News. That's a demon right there. He came to UFC hunting Izzy, the greatest hater of all time. So, like, Alex is hardcore, man. I do think if Izzy wins, it's going to be a decision. I don't think people will be happy if it is. But I think that's his main, like, I mean, Alex has been TKO'd and knocked out before in kickboxing. It's not impossible by any means, but I think that's his main path to victory is he has chosen not in more recent fights. So, but he's a fairly durable guy, but Alex is durable too. So, I think he has the technical advantage because, like, his kickboxing style is more fast, space, and in a big cage of that was in with that's what like just close, get the power out, exchange the puck if he wants to range. So yeah, big cage. Used to the big cage is a lot of factors that more educated something that he could go into, but they're like few of the best favorite technical. But Alex is also like the only guy that can equal the fight in the division.
There you go. Real quick, you want to try and hop off and hop back on because you got a little choppy there. It's okay, just hop on. I'll bring you back. Yeah, so I mean, there you go with that. It's a very up in the air kind of fight, in a way, because, well, look, if Izzy doesn't go out and finish him right and finish him spectacularly, we're gonna be like, oh, it's another, Yo Romero fight. If Izzy, decisions them, we're gonna be like that. If Izzy finishes them, it'll be a huge feather in the cap. We're talking even bigger star than he is now. If Alex Pereira beats him, especially if he finishes him, we have obviously new champion, but a massive star in the UFC. So that's UFC 281, ladies and gentlemen. And we're here for Val to jump back on. If you guys don't know, Val is on Twitter at the 3 L's. Let me see if I can get this right. THE, the number 3 ELS on Twitter. Does a lot of work with cagesidepurse.com. Does a lot of the what's next for winners and stuff like that. And if you see some of our stuff on Fight Night, our recaps, he's up. He does a lot of that stuff. So make sure you guys check that out. cagesidepurse.com. He should be back. There he is.
I closed some internet stuff. It wasn't loading. I closed some stuff and it loaded. All right. There you go. When did I start going choppy? What?
I got halfway through the thing.
Yeah. Should I just go over it again?
No, just like whatever you want to throw out there, man. Like, I mean, basically, it's here's my thing on this. If Izzy wins, like, okay, cool, he's still a champion. If Izzy, but we expect to finish, right? But if Alex Pereira wins, not only do we have a new champion, but we have a new star, like a massive star.
And a new order. Like, this throws a division which is like getting like a bit dry, needing contenders, needing like you're looking at like the winner of Dricus du Plessis versus Darren Till getting a title shot, or like Hermanson versus Brunson getting a title shot off of one win because he's beaten everyone. But if Alex wins, just chaos. Like, anyone can be in it. Rob could, probably winner of Rob versus Paulo would get the next shot. Like, if unless they do an immediate rematch, which like, on one hand, Izzy's a dominant champion. On the other hand, that'd be the third time Alex has beaten him. So that'd be technically it'd be a quadrilogy over 4 sports. It's blockbuster, but doesn't make sense. So who knows? It just throws everything into chaos. And as mixed martial arts fans, we kind of love chaos.
Oh, I love the chaos. That's why we watch it, dude. You never know what's gonna happen. So that's UFC 281, ladies and gentlemen, on pay-per-view this weekend. CagesidePress.com will have all your coverage on that as well. That's gonna do it for us. Anything else you want to touch on before we get out of here?
I mean, have a look out for my ranking the fights articles. We'll be ranking each one out of 10 and ranking them from best to worst. So give a look out for that later this week.
Sweet. All right, CagesidePress.com for everything you need, ladies and gentlemen. At the 3 L's on Twitter. Make sure you hit the follow on him at Elo32 for myself. CagesidePress.com at CagesidePress on everything now. So make sure you guys hit that up. Shout out to Mr. Chajik Bey that joined in the comment section for a little bit. We'll catch you guys next week, and we'll talk plenty of UFC 281, maybe some madness. We'll see. So don't hop off yet there, Val. We'll talk after the show.
All right.
We'll catch you guys next time. So for myself, the entire team, appreciate the hell out of you guys. Good night.
Thank you.
See you guys next time.